I'm Deborah Rose, and I am one of the musicians that worked on the Suitcase Stories project. The Suitcase Stories project was really, really amazing to be involved in. It was such a fulfilling project to engage with people in the community, people who were suffering with dementia and who were brought along by their carers and assistants, and we all collaborated together to create 3 songs. Each musician created 3 songs, and we performed in care homes across Wychavon, so more than 6 care homes, and it was a really rewarding process to spend time and build relationships with people who were suffering with dementia and their carers. We found it a very creative experience working with Hartlebury Museum, who came every week with a suitcase, and this suitcase had objects from the past, some really weird and wonderful historic items that triggered memories, triggered stories, triggered emotions, triggered feelings for people who were suffering with dementia. People with dementia have problems with short-term memory, but their long-term memory is quite intact in many ways. So these objects often would trigger a story about a holiday in Cornwall or Pontins or Butlins, and it was quite fascinating how each object would create a really fascinating story, which I could use then to write into a song. And one of the songs that I wrote was called Sue and Her Suitcase, because when Sue would come with the suitcase, it was almost like this kind of Mary Poppins bag that you never knew what was going to come out from one day to the next. And I came up with this chorus, which was Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase. She's got everything but the kitchen sink. And I put a little kind of, it's quite a simple sing-alongable chorus. And what was really special was at the end of the workshops, the people who were in our group were singing along to it. So it was a really fascinating project to collaborate with people who have dementia. I work in lots of different environments, from working in prisons, working in schools, I've worked in hospitals, but to actually work with people in their care homes, going into their environment. Sometimes it was quite challenging with just the environment being quite noisy, with alarms, with phones ringing, the temperature, sometimes it was very warm in these homes. So having to really focus on being quite present, holding a space for a large number of people. Sometimes the rooms were quite small, and as the sessions got more popular, they did become quite overcrowded. So our job as musicians was to try and keep the energy strong, keep focused, ignore all the kind of outside toings and froings and people coming in and perhaps having medication. So we had to stay quite focused. And it varied from home to home. Also, some of the workshops we did were in very inspiring venues, like the Museum of Carpet in Kidderminster, and also at the Needle Museum in Redditch. And I found that particularly inspiring to work in heritage places like that really helped the songwriting process. And when I was working in a care home in Evesham, it was quite a unique experience, because I was asked by the carers if I would go and do a one-to-one with one of the ladies who was particularly distressed. And she was screaming out a lot. She was very emotional, and the carers asked if I would sing some sort of soothing music to try and relax her. And fortunately, the music that I was singing, some Celtic music, some ballads, some folk music, it did have that effect of calming her down and she even at one point held my hand and said goodbye to me, and I could feel that I was building a relationship with her through music. And that's the amazing thing about music, is that it does reach a part of the brain that isn't affected by dementia. So I was learning a lot for myself how music is such a powerful tool in connecting with people who are very distressed, and it can be very soothing for somebody who's suffering with dementia. And it also has that knock-on effect then with the carers or family members who feel quite helpless and need a little bit of respite from 24-hour care. So it was really nice to be able to feel like you were supporting the carers as well by offering some fun and playing music that people enjoy, they could sing along to. Often you find that people with dementia perhaps don't remember your name or don't remember if you have been there before, but then they will remember a song perhaps from the 1940s, a song like Nightingale Sang in Berkeley Square, or a song like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and they know the words from beginning to end. So that is a really fascinating part of the project, is to keep trusting and know that people with dementia, they may appear to not be engaging, but you never quite know when someone's going to tell you a story or someone's going to sing a song. And I think as a facilitator of this project, it's a really good idea to sometimes take a step back and let them lead you, because there might be a song that they're kind of burning to sing, and it's good to kind of step out of the way and allow that to come forward. There were some lovely experiences whereby I was doing a session in Evesham, and we were told that the people we will be working with were very severe in their stages of dementia, so not to expect much engagement, not to expect much in the way of communication. And if we needed to cut the session short, then we would do. But during that day, something really amazing happened, where a lady started to speak about her time in her teens when she used to be a dancer and she used to be a ballerina, and that she could do the river dance. So she got up and then started performing the river dance for the group. And that she then went on to talk about how she was picked by the government as the only woman to go to the Antarctic as an explorer. And all these amazing stories were coming. We didn't expect it. So there were lots of, surprising moments. And it was all brilliant material as a songwriter to write these stories into the songs. And one of the songs that I wrote was called We Are All Unique, because what I found that was during the sessions, you'd have such a wide range of people doing different professions, whether people were a miner, a teacher, a doctor, an explorer, or a housewife, a mother or a father. Everyone had different roles. So one of the songs I created just to sort of celebrate everybody's sort of unique purpose in life by going through lists of all their different roles in life. And the lady who did the river dance and was the explorer, she really inspired that song. Another day was when Doris Day passed away, and I was doing a workshop in the morning, and we sang Que Sera Sera as one of the opening songs. And then from the journey from the morning workshop to the afternoon, I heard on the radio that Doris Day had passed away. So that afternoon then we spent quite a long time talking about Doris Day, her songs and the films that she was in. And the third song that I then wrote was to the music of Que Sera Sera, but I changed the verse lyrics to incorporate some of the memories and some of the stories that the residents and their carers were telling me. So each song was individually inspired by a conversation or a particular day or something happening that you didn't really expect. And that was the joy of collaborating. And for me, it was one of the most sort of fulfilling songwriting collaborations and community projects that I've done, because you just never knew what was going to happen, and you could you could really feel that people were trusting you over time, that each time you went back, you were starting to build a relationship with people, and you started to get to know each individual's needs through music. And that for me was a really, really powerful way of connecting with people and using music as a form of relief, as a form of therapy, and a form of engagement. So I particularly enjoyed working at the Museum of Carpet in Kidderminster, because I felt that that was a really inspiring place to hold a workshop, and it felt more like an event. We had coffee and biscuits, and people from the museum would assist as well. And I think it felt more like a normal environment, or like it was a time and space out of a care home. So there was a sense of occasion, there was a sense of event. And I think also the items that were around were again inspiring. You could see the different wools, the different carpets. It was a little bit more visual to work in that kind of environment. Also at the Needle Museum, it was surrounded by lovely parks and greens to go on walks, and there was also some historical information around the room that we had the workshop in. So I think all of these things within these places, these museums, they were a lot more sensory, they were a lot more stimulating, rather than being in their usual home environment whereby there was the TV on in the background, or there was somebody walking in and out, or different sounds like the phone ringing. So I think having it at the Museum of Carpet and having the workshops at the Needle Museum, it felt a lot more professional and a much cleaner environment to work in. I think it was really beneficial having the carers assist the dementia patients on the workshops, because they were able to make them feel safe and also share more, and perhaps prompt them more to share a part of their childhood, or remind them of where they lived, remind them where they went on holidays. So you had a lot more support when the carers were actually there. So I found that was a really lovely part of the project, to be able to get to know the sister or the husband or the partner who was actually bringing the person to the workshop. In the homes, it was a bit more challenging because they were often on their own. So you would have to work that a little bit harder, which was more difficult when you have, say, 15 to 20 people in a group, that you wouldn't be able to give that individual attention as much as you would have liked. So having the carers was a really valuable part of the project, to be able to get more out of the sessions and to keep the conversation going, and also as songwriters to be able to give us more material to work with. I think one of the bonuses of this project as well was having a student musician to come along to the sessions as well. And I worked closely with a clarinet player from the Birmingham Conservatoire called Katie Jenner, and she was a brilliant support. I think it was lovely to have the clarinet, to have a really unusual instrument that was another very visual and a lovely sound for the residents to engage with. And it was nice to be able to bounce ideas with Katie and to be able to play a song that I might not have been able to sing, but she knew the melody for. So we built up a really nice sort of repertoire of different music that we could do instrumental to break up the vocals and the conversation. And I'd say that working together with a student musician really, really enhances the project.
Spangles and halfpennies, stories of make-believe, and Parson Satisfactory, and the apparent source from the factory. Oh, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase. She's got everything but the kitchen sink. raging for cereal, a book from Mother's Union, a rag rug for a wedding box, and sweet pea seeds and forget-me-nots. So Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase. She's got everything but the kitchen sink. Licorice sticks and penny sweets made us yearn for sugar dips and flying saucers and pink and white mice, and Norman's parrot said everything twice. So Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase. She's got everything but the kitchen sink. A roll-up piano and a Beatles LP brings back the memories of working 9 to 5 for a nickel or a dime. Confused about the currency, but Edna's got it down to a T. Oh, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase. She's got everything but the kitchen sink. Photographs and picture frames, and John asked Joan if she was game. He collected scooters, he had fancy cars, but she lived by Cadbury, she likes Snickers or Mars. They met at Sunday school, and John asked for a date, and she said join the queue. Have 2 more suitors, not only you. Oh, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase. She's got everything but the kitchen sink. But in 1940 they got wet. I think that was the year they said. And to high mine in Exeter with his shiny brand new Lambretta. Oh, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase. She's got everything but the kitchen sink. Glittery dress and fancy shoes, an evening bag and a scarf in blue. Nights out dancing in Kidderminster, and Margaret took up 2-step cause no one convinced her. A pin-up of Cliff in school, and 38 pence for a Lux Flakes board in 1977. If women stayed at home they would go to heaven. Oh, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase, Sue and her suitcase. She's got everything but the kitchen sink.